The stars blinked quietly in the sky. Captain Lyra sat alone in her small cabin aboard the scout ship HFY. Outside her window, the galaxy shimmered with bright colors, blue nebulae, golden stars, and the silver trail of their ion engine. But inside her heart, everything felt gray. She missed him. Riven they had grown up together in the refugee domes of Glia 7, one of the few places humans were allowed after Earth's fall. They shared rations, stories, and dreams. He used to say, "One day, we'll find Earth again. Together." But 5 years ago, Riven was accepted into the Alliance science fleet. He left with a smile and a wave, promising to keep in touch. He had sent one message. Just one. After that silence, Lyra didn't know what happened. She kept sending messages, even tried to find him on encrypted channels. No response. It was like he vanished from the stars. Now, as she looked at the blinking cursor on her com screen, she felt the same pain again. Her fingers hovered over the keyboard. What could she even say? "Hey, it's Lyra again. Just wondering if you're out there." She deleted the words. She wasn't angry. She was sad. She felt small. In a galaxy full of alien species, massive empires, an ancient power, what was one girl from a refugee dome supposed to do? Still, humans had a strange thing inside them, kind of flame. They didn't give up. Not really. Even if they felt like giving up, even if they broke a little, they always found a way to stand again. Her ship beeped. Incoming signal. Lyra's. Heart jumped, but it wasn't Riven. Just another fleet update. A mapping drone had found ruins near a dead planet called Yashara-3. Command wanted her to investigate. Her heart sank again. Still, orders were orders. Yashara-3 was quiet. The air was dry, filled with dust and echoes. Lyra walked alone through broken metal halls, long abandoned by any living thing. The ruins looked alien, but something felt familiar. Then she saw it. On the wall, drawn with a burnt piece of pipe, were the words, "I remember Earth." Her breath caught. No alien would write that. Under it, a small human symbol, 2 hands holding a star. It was old, faded, but she knew it. It was the mark Riven always drew in their notebooks, a symbol of hope. Of going home, she knelt down and touched the wall. It was real. He had been here. "Riven," she whispered. "You were here?" She looked around, suddenly filled with energy. He had left a sign. That meant he was alive or had been. That small mark sparked something in her. Drive. A purpose. She opened her comms and recorded a message. "Riven, I saw your symbol. I don't know where you are now, but I saw it. I'm not giving up. Not on you, not on Earth." She sent the message on every frequency she could. She didn't know if he would hear it. She knew something else. She wasn't alone anymore. Back aboard HFY, Lyra sat quietly. Her heart was still heavy, but now it had something else inside it too. A spark, a reason. Humans were scattered across the stars, forgotten, broken, erased from history by powerful alien forces. But even then, they left signs for each other. They remembered, they hoped. Lyra smiled. She didn't need to wait for a reply. She just needed to follow the trail. And maybe, just maybe, he was doing the same from the other side. She placed her hand on the console. Set course for every place the science fleet has been in the last 5 years. Start the search. The ship hummed as the engines came alive. Hope was moving again. Captain Lyra sat in the pilot chair of the HFY, watching stars slide past the window like falling snow. The ship was silent, except for the soft hum of the engines. Her hands rested on the controls, but her thoughts were far away. She kept thinking of the wall on Yashara-3's message, the symbol, the hope. "I remember Earth," he had written. That she was sure. Riven had left a sign, and now she had to follow it. She didn't know where it would lead. Maybe nowhere, maybe everywhere. But even if her heart felt heavy, even if she felt small in the middle of endless space, she wasn't giving up. Humans didn't give up. Her search began slowly. She asked old trading stations if they'd seen a human scientist. Most didn't answer. Some didn't care. Others laughed. "You're chasing a ghost," said one alien with silver skin. "No one comes back from the dead zones." Lyra just smiled politely and moved on. She visited old science fleet paths, places the Alliance used to study before pulling out. Desert planets, floating ruins, ancient data clouds. No signs. No answers. And still, every night, she opened her comms and recorded a new message. "Hey, Riven, it's Lyra. Still searching, still hoping. If you're out there, I'll find you." Sometimes, she wondered if he ever got them. Sometimes, she doubted everything. One day, she landed on a quiet moon called Delphernine. It had deep caves and long shadows. No people lived there anymore, just silence and rocks. She didn't expect to find anything, but deep inside one of the caves, her scanner beeped. A metal plate was embedded in the wall. She brushed the dust away and found, it's writing in human language. "To those still searching, keep walking. We are the fire that never dies." Lyra froze. She knew those words. Riven used to whisper them during dark nights in the domes. A poem from old Earth. Something his grandmother had told him. We are the fire that never dies. It wasn't just a message, it was a promise. She sat down beside the wall, her eyes filled with tears. But she wasn't crying from sadness anymore. She was crying because the trail was real, back on the Hope Fire. She checked the scanner again. The metal plate had a small power source. It had been placed there, 3 years ago. She smiled. She opened the comms once more. "I found it, Riven. I found your next sign, 3 years ago. That means you're close. It's walking, just like you said." The ship lifted off. She set a new course toward the direction the message had been facing. Weeks passed. Space is big. Too big. Days blurred together. Sometimes Lyra doubted again. Maybe she was chasing a shadow. Maybe Riven didn't want to be found. Maybe he forgot her. That thought hurt the most. But one night, as she sat by the observation window, she remembered something. She was 8 years old when a fire broke out in the dome. People panicked. Lyra got lost in the smoke. She cried, screamed, couldn't breathe, and then Riven found her. He wrapped her in a coat, held her hand, and let her out. He didn't leave her then. He wouldn't leave her now. She wiped her eyes. "Humans don't let go," she whispered. "We hold on, no matter how long it takes." It's 3 more moons, a derelict satellite, a forgotten outpost. More signs, each one with the same strange code, a star with 2 hands around it. Some aliens began to notice. They didn't mock her anymore. Some even offered help. "You humans are stubborn," said one trader, shaking her head. Most would have given up by now. "We're not most," Lyra replied. Finally, she reached an abandoned science lab near the edge of a dying star. The systems were mostly offline, but one recorder still worked. A voice came through, his voice to anyone listening. "I'm Riven. If you find this, it means the trail worked. I'm heading deeper. There's something out there. I think I know where Earth was. I'm not sure if I'll make it, but I have to try." Lyra pressed her hand to the screen. Her heart raced. He was alive, still searching, still hoping. Just like her, she opened her comms and smiled. "I'm coming. Riven, I'm not far behind. Earth or not, I'll find you." The Hope Fire roared as it flew toward the edge of the known galaxy. She didn't feel alone anymore. The star was dying. Its light was dim, flickering like a candle in the wind. Dust clouds wrapped around it like a blanket, hiding it from most sensors. Few ships ever came this far. There were no stations, no planets, just silence. But Lyra was. Here her ship Hopefire floated in the quiet dark. The engines were low. The scanners buzzed softly. She leaned over the console, studying the map Riven left behind. His last message had come from this region, just beyond the edge of known. Space? The galaxy's official charts ended here, but he had gone beyond, and now she would too. Lyra felt the weight of the distance more than ever. It wasn't just space, it was time, silence, and memories. She thought of Riven's voice, calm and strong in that old recording. She remembered how he used to laugh when they were children, how he used to hold her hand when she was scared. She missed him. And even though she had followed his trail this far, she still didn't know if she would ever see him again. Her fingers hovered over the comms controls, wanted to speak to him again, but what would she say? I'm still searching. Still missing you? She didn't send it? Not yet. She looked out at the stars and whispered, "Please be okay." The ship's computer pinged. A signal, faint. Repeating, she leaned forward. It was a distress beacon, old and weak. Human code. Her heart jumped. She locked onto the signal and pushed the engines forward. The ship entered the dark cloud. Static filled the screen. Navigation became difficult. Suddenly, the ship shook. Something had clipped them. A small piece of debris. Alarms flashed. The outer hull was damaged. But Lyra didn't stop. She was too close. After 2 hours of slow flying, she saw it. A science ship broken, spinning slowly in the dust cloud. Lights flickering. Hull cracked. She brought HFY alongside it and locked onto the docking bay. Her hands shook as she put on her suit and stepped through the airlock. The science ship was cold, dead, but something inside still worked. She walked. Through narrow halls, her boots clinking against the metal floor. She turned a corner and stopped. The wall ahead had a message. To Lyra, if you're reading this, I never stopped looking either. She gasped. It was his writing. She touched the wall gently, tears rising in her eyes. He had been here. He had thought of her. She moved deeper into the ship. Most of the systems were down, but one data core still had power. She plugged in her pad and began downloading. Files, logs, notes, messages. All from Riven. He had been searching for something ancient, something powerful. He believed he found the last coordinates of old Earth. The stars hide what they fear, one log said. But we remember, we return. Lyra sat down on a bench. She was overwhelmed. He hadn't forgotten her. He hadn't disappeared on purpose. He had been searching for Earth, for the truth. For home just like her. Suddenly the data pad blinked. A video. It was Riven, tired, covered, in dust, but alive. Lyra, I hope you're the one watching this. I left signs hoping you'd follow. I'm heading to the last site now. It's not safe here. Something watches from the dark. But I believe Earth is close. I wish I could. See you again? I miss you. The screen went dark. She sat there in silence for a long time. Then she stood up. I'm coming, she said. She walked back to the ship with new strength in her step. Back on HFY. She studied the final coordinates he left. They were far, deeper into uncharted space. No stations. No help. Just dust, stars, and the unknown. But she wasn't afraid. She sent out one more message. Riven, I saw your face. I read your words. I'm not stopping. I'll find you. I'll find Earth. You're not alone anymore. The engines roared as the ship pushed forward, toward the edge of everything known. She didn't know what she would find, but she knew this. Humans don't stop. Humans don't forget, and when they return for each other. Captain Lyra stood at the front window of the HFY. Her hands gripped the metal railing. Outside, a lonely planet spun slowly in the dark. It had no name. Came from its surface. It was quiet. Still. But the signal came from here. Riven's last message ended with these coordinates. If he was still out there, this was the closest she had ever been. Her heart beat fast. Her mind was filled with questions. Was he here now? Was he still alive? Did he even want to see her after all this time? She didn't know, but she couldn't turn back now. She landed the HFY on a flat cliff near a valley. The sky above was filled with heavy gray clouds. Dust blew across the rocky ground. No signs of life, no buildings. It's nothing but stone and silence. Lyra walked carefully, her scanner held close. The signal was weak but steady. She followed it down a narrow path, her boots crunching over sharp gravel. Each step brought her closer, and each step filled her with more doubt. What if he had moved on? What if she was chasing a shadow? Her chest felt tight. She stopped and looked up at the sky. Riven. She whispered, "Why didn't you just answer me?" After an hour of walking, she found it. A small shelter, part metal, part stone, built into the side of a hill. It looked rough but strong, hand-built. She stepped inside, empty, but lived in a small fire pit. Old blankets. A broken data pad. A half-finished journal, and on the wall, drawn in black marker, that same symbol again. 2 hands holding a star. Her breath caught. He had been here recently. She dropped her gear and sat on the ground. The shelter was cold, but she didn't notice. Her hands touched the journal. Inside were notes, Riven's handwriting, his thoughts. Still no answer, still hoping. "Lyra, if you ever come, I want to say I'm sorry. I never meant to disappear." She turned the page. "This world holds something ancient. I think it's part of Earth's forgotten story, but I can't find the entrance. I'll try again tomorrow." A date. 3 weeks ago. Tears filled her eyes. So close, and still not together. She leaned back against the wall, heart aching. Why did it hurt so much to miss someone? The next morning, she followed the trail he had written about in his journal. It led her into a canyon full of strange black stone. The scanner blinked wildly. Under her boots, something pulsed. Not life, but power. She climbed a small hill and saw it. A door half covered in dust. Not alien, not modern. Human, very, very old. She walked to it and placed her hand on the surface. It lit up. A soft blue glow spread across the stone, then faded. A voice long forgotten and digital echoed softly. "Genetic match confirmed. Terran bloodline detected. Welcome home." Her knees almost gave out. This was real. Earth's history wasn't lost. It had only been hidden by others, maybe by humans themselves. She didn't know why, but she knew she had found something sacred. Inside the door was a tunnel, dark, silent. She followed it, each step careful. Symbols glowed on the walls. Old human language, a map of stars, Earth in the center. Tears slipped from her eyes. Humans had been more than survivors. More than refugees, they had been builders, dreamers, guardians of light. Someone had tried to erase that, but now, piece by piece, they were remembering at the heart of the tunnel. She found another shelter. This time the fire was still warm. Bag sat near the door, and then a sound behind her. She turned around fast, and there he was, Riven. Older, thinner, but alive. His eyes widened. "Lyra." She couldn't speak. She just ran to him and wrapped her arms around him. He hugged her back tightly for a moment. The silence between them was filled with every unspoken word. Then he whispered, "I thought I lost you." She pulled back, tears in her eyes. "I never stopped searching. Neither of them said I missed you. They didn't have to." Later, as they sat by the fire, Riven spoke. "I found this place weeks ago. I didn't know if anyone would ever come. I almost gave up." Lyra smiled softly, "But you didn't." He nodded. "That's the human part of us, isn't it? We fall, we break, we get lost, but we always come back." She took his hand. "We don't just come back," she said. "We rebuild. We carry each other." They looked at the glowing walls around them, the lost history of Earth, the proof of who they once were and who they could be again. The fire crackled softly inside the stone shelter. Outside, cold winds howled through the canyon, carrying dust and silence across the forgotten world. But inside, for the first time in years, there was warmth. Lyra sat across from Riven. They shared a quiet meal-ode rations, dry and simple. But to Lyra, it tasted better than anything she'd had in years. Because she wasn't alone anymore. She had found him. But even though they sat close, she still felt something between them. A silence, a distance, not from space, but from time, from everything that had been, left unsaid. They talked a little, about the past, about the stars, about what they'd both seen, but neither of them said what they were really feeling. Riven didn't explain why he stopped sending messages, and Lyra didn't ask. She was afraid the answer might hurt instead. She smiled when he looked at her and laughed softly at his jokes, but when he turned away, her eyes dropped. She wanted to say something real, something honest, but she didn't know how. "Why didn't you write to me? Did you forget me? Did you ever miss me?" The words stayed inside. Later, as they stood outside under the cloudy sky, Riven showed her the ancient vault. It was hidden beneath a rock, protected by thick metal and energy fields. "This was made by humans," he said quietly. "Before Earth fell. Maybe before the war even started. It's like they knew someone would come back one day." Lyra ran her hand over the stone symbols. They glowed under her fingers. "This place is a key," he continued. "A message to the future. But I don't know how to open it." Lyra stared at the symbols. Then she spoke softly. "We open it together." Inside the vault, the walls were covered with glowing lines. Some were maps, some were recordings. Others were messages written in Old Terran language. Together they began to translate. One message said, "If you find this, it means humanity survived. That you remember, that you still hope." Another said, "You are not alone. Your past is not lost. And your future is still yours to shape." Lyra blinked. "Away tears, this was meant for us," she whispered. Riven nodded. "I think Earth was more than a planet. It was an idea, a promise." She looked at him, and we are the ones keeping that promise. That night, back at the shelter, the distance between them still lingered. Lyra sat by the fire, staring at her boots. Riven sat across from her, silent. Finally, she took a breath. "Why did you stop messaging me?" The words came out softer than she meant. Riven looked up slowly. His face was tired. "I tried," he said. "At first, I sent one every day. But after a while, no one answered. I thought maybe the Alliance blocked them. Maybe you moved on." "I never did," Lyra whispered. He lowered his head. "I was afraid that if I heard your voice, I'd stop everything and turn back. But I had to find this place. I had to know the truth." Lyra stood up and crossed the space between them. She sat beside him. "I understand," she said. "But next time, don't go so far without saying goodbye." He smiled a little. "Next time you're coming with me." She smiled too. The silence between them began to melt. The next day, they activated the ancient transmitter inside the vault. It was old, but it worked. They sent out a single signal across every known frequency. Just one message: "Earth lives." The words were simple, but strong. Across the galaxy, human colonies, hybrid settlements, and forgotten bloodlines heard the call, and they answered. Back at the shelter, Riven and Lyra stood outside as the stars came out. The wind was soft now. The sky was clearing. She looked up. "I used to feel like I didn't belong anywhere," she said. "Like I was just a small voice in a big, silent universe." He reached for her hand. "You're not alone anymore." She held his hand tightly. They didn't need to say more. The past had hurt. The distance had been long. But they had found each other. And now they had hope. Because humans remember, humans search, and humans... Asterisk. The message was simple, but it moved through the galaxy like a rising tide. Earth lives. Lyra and Riven watched the old transmitter send their signal into space. The machine hummed softly, as if it too remembered the lost days and long nights. But sending the message was only the beginning. Days passed. Stars outside Hopefire looked the same, but something was changing. Across the galaxy, human colonies. And scattered descendants heard the call. The word sparked something deep inside them. Many had thought humanity was lost forever. But the message told a different story. They were alive. They were returning. Lyra stood on the bridge of Hopefire, looking at the new data flooding in. Signals from distant worlds. Replies from humans she never knew existed. Communities that had held on to old stories, old hopes. They were sending their own messages back. We heard you. We remember. We will join you. Her heart swelled with pride. Humans didn't give up. They didn't forget. Even after centuries apart, her spirit was strong. But not everyone was happy. In the distant halls of the Galactic Council, whispers grew. Some leaders feared the return of humanity. They remembered old wars, old betrayals. They remembered the power humans had once held. A power now lost, and they wanted it to stay lost. Counselor Vague, tall, sharp-eyed alien, stared at the reports with a cold smile. Humanity's return threatens us, he said. We must stop this movement before it grows. Other council members nodded. Plans were made, ships prepared, orders given. Back on Hopefire, Lyra felt the tension growing. The galaxy was watching. Some ships shadowed her path. She knew they were waiting. Waiting to see if humanity would fight or flee. But humans don't run. They face the stars with open hands, with hope, with courage. Riven joined her on the bridge. We're not alone, he said softly. Many are ready to stand with us, not with weapons, but with trust. Lyra nodded. She sent new messages, invitations for peace, calls for unity, a promise to rebuild together. The response was slow. But steady. New ships appeared, carrying humans, hybrids, and even curious aliens. They came, not to conquer, but to share, to learn, to heal. The galaxy was beginning to listen. One night, Lyra sat alone. Looking at the stars, she thought of the long distance between her and the people she cared for. The years of silence, the moments lost. But she also thought of the future, the connections yet to be made, the family yet to be reunited. Her heart whispered, we will find each other again. Because humans hold on, because hope never dies. The stars shone cold and distant outside the windows of the Hopefire. Inside, the ship hummed quietly as it moved through space. But Lyra felt a storm inside her heart. She looked at the message screen. Another message from Riven, but it was short. Silent, distant. She wanted to say so much, but the words got stuck. After all the searching, all the hope, there was still a gap between them. It was not just space. It was time. Pain. Fear. Lyra sat down and closed her eyes. She remembered when Riven left. They had promised to stay connected, to never forget, but things changed. Distance grew. She felt alone. And yet, she knew she was not alone. Because humans never truly give up on the people they care about, no matter how far, no matter how long. She took a deep breath and opened the coms. Riven, I know we are far. I know things feel hard. But I want to try. I want us to be close again. She waited. The silence stretched, but then a small reply came. Lyra, I feel it too. I don't know how, but I want that. I want us. Heart lifted. Days passed as they shared small messages, simple words, funny memories, questions about their days. Slowly, the distance between them began to shrink. It was not perfect, not easy, but it was real. Lyra thought about how humans, even after being separated by half a galaxy, never gave up hope. They reached out even when they didn't know if they would be answered. They tried again and again. That was their strength. That was their humanity. One day, Lyra prepared a special message. She spoke softly into the recorder. Riven, I want to see you. Not just in words, but in person. I know it will take time, but I am ready to try. She sent it on every channel, she hoped. She prayed. Not long after, a ship appeared on her sensors, small, old, familiar. It was Riven's ship. Lyra's heart raced. She gave the order. Prepare to dock. When Riven stepped onto the Hopefire, time seemed to stop. They looked at each other, not as distant strangers, but as friends, as family, as people who had fought the distant Sand One. Lyra smiled. She knew this was just the start, but it was the most important step. Together, they looked out at the stars, the vast galaxy, the long road ahead, and Lyra felt hope. Hope that no matter how far people move away, no matter how long they are silent, humanity's strength is in the heart, in never giving up, in always reaching for the ones we love. Asterisk, the docking bay doors closed softly behind Riven as he stepped onto the Hope Fire. Lyra stood nearby, her heart beating fast. This moment, after all the searching, all the waiting, was finally here. They looked at each other. No words came at first, only the quiet sound of breathing, the faint hum of the ship's engines, and the soft echo of footsteps. Lyra took a deep breath and stepped forward. "Riven," she said softly. He smiled, tired but warm. "I missed you," he replied simply. The words were small, but heavy with meaning. For years, they had been separated by distance, silence, and uncertainty. Now, those walls began to fall. They walked to the observation deck together. Outside, the stars stretched in every direction, countless points of light shining in the darkness. Lyra looked at the galaxy and then at Riven. "We've been apart for too long," she said, "but we're here now, together." He nodded. "Even when it felt like you were far away, I never stopped hoping." "Me too," Lyra whispered. They spent hours talking about their journeys, their fears, and their dreams. Riven told stories of lonely nights on distant ships. Lyra shared memories of waiting and searching. They laughed. Sometimes tears came, but through it all, their bond grew stronger. They were not the same people who had parted. They were better the next day. Lyra showed Riven the plans to rebuild, plans to find Earth's lost history, plans to bring together scattered humans, to unite them as one. "It's not just about us," she said. "It's about all the people who never stopped believing." Riven smiled. "We're the hope they needed." Together, they sent new messages into space, inviting all humans and friends to join, to build a future full of light and trust, to remember their past without fear, to move forward dashed together as days passed. New ships arrived, old friends, people who believed in humanity's strength. Lyra and Riven stood side by side on the bridge, watching the stars grow closer, the distance between people growing smaller. Lyra thought about everything she had, felt the sadness of being apart, the fear of losing someone she loved, the hope that never faded. She knew the galaxy was wide and cold, but hearts could be warmer than any star, because humans don't just survive. They connect, they care, they find each other. Even after the longest silence, Riven took her hand gently. "Whatever comes next," he said, "we face it together." Lyra smiled, hope shining in her eyes. "Together," she agreed. The ship moved forward, toward new worlds, toward new beginnings, toward the promise of home.